I've been afraid a lot of times in my life, but I didn't know the real meaning of fear until I had kissed Becky.
Okay, so I thought it would be nice to do a video which is a top 10 list of novels that are not genre novels. So they're not science fiction, they're not fantasy, not horror, not crime, not westerns. So the ones that would be in the general fiction on the shelves, possibly literary fiction for some of the books, some just called contemporary fiction if it's a recent one, but they're not science fiction, fantasy, crime, western, horror. They're not a genre book. So I thought it'd be nice, because if I was to do a top 10 science fiction, top 10 western, top 10 crime, then clearly I'd leave these books out. So I thought it'd be really interesting to do that. I don't read non-genre things very often, but I like to look into these things, especially if they're classics, if they're modern classics especially, I want to read them. And there are a few contenders that I imagine I will like a lot, possibly as much as these books that I haven't read yet. So that's a thing. So I could do a follow-up video once I feel like I've got 10 that I love as much as these. And there is a couple that I've read quite recently. So the prompt for me doing this video in the first place is because I've read some corkers recently, and I thought, actually, what are my top 10 of the non-genre novels, non-genre fiction? So, to start off with something that's probably quite obscure, but I really love it, and I've got quite a lot of affection for it as well because of how I got the book as well. Someone sent it to me, a friend of mine sent it to me and said, you've probably never read of this, but I think you'll like it. And I really, really enjoyed it. And it's kind of got two stories, two timelines, and they are both wrapped around this house. One timeline is about this old aging rock star who kind of settles into that house as a sanctuary, and then the other timeline, which is the more recent timeline, is about these kids that are runaways that use the house to kind of have a found family. It's a really good book. It's by Cassandra Parkin, and it's called The Summer We All Ran Away. The Summer We All Ran Away. It came out in 2013, and I just loved it. I really loved it. I read it so quickly, and I relished it. And it's a really lovely book. It's a character book. A lot of these are character books. So it's not like a huge epic plot or anything, but it's just really beautifully written, and I just loved it. So yeah, The Summer We All Ran Away, Cassandra Parkin of 2013. That's my number 10. My number 8 book, sorry, my number 9 book, I don't know what happened to me nines. You've cooked her nines. Number 9 is Giovanni's Room by James Baldwin. So I read that one a couple of years ago, I think. And I just thought it was lovely. And it was the first James Baldwin book I'd read. Came out in 1956. I've got a whole bunch of James Baldwin stuff now. And that's still... I've read some short stories, and the I'm Not Your Negro, I think it's called. I read that as well. But Giovanni's book, Giovanni's Room was the first thing I read properly. And it explores relationships in a really interesting way. And explores being gay and kind of struggling with it, an unhappy marriage, feeling free in Paris, and kind of exploring your own identity. It's a really interesting book, Giovanni's book Room. It's quite short, but that's my number 9 by James Baldwin, 1956. Number 8 is Closely Watched Trains. Now, Closely Watched Trains is written by Bohemian Rabble, a Czech author. It came out in 1965, and very shortly after that there was a film made of it, and my interaction with the story was from the film first. So I saw this Czech film when I was in my late teens, and I loved it. But the book is even better. The book is a really powerful and quite emotional and sometimes funny and always intriguing story set at the end of World War II in the Czech Republic at this train station. And it's like a coming of age thing where this young man is having trouble with his sex life and his relationship with his girlfriend and his own sense of identity and the sense of being a man. And that all comes to a head at the end in a really dramatic way, all wrapped around these Nazis that they are always watching out for and are clearly very fearful of. It's such a great story. Closely Watched Trains. If you haven't read it, if you have read it, I'd love to know below, because nobody really talks about it. But that's my number 8, Closely Watched Trains by Bohemian Rabble. My number 7 is Arasia. So you may have seen a video come up on my channel where I've reviewed Arasia from 2001, Percival Everett. It's my first Percival Everett book, and it blew my socks off. I loved it. And that's about, again, it's about identity. It's about the African-American experience and the stereotypes that have been established, and about publishing bias. It's a really complex story. It's thought-provoking, but also one of the things that isn't necessarily talked about as much is it's got some great characterization with the family, and some of the strengths of the book lie in the relationships he's got with his mother and his sister and his brother. So yeah, Arasia, fantastic. That's my number 7. So that's a recent read. So, you know, recent bias or whatever you call it. I loved it. Number 6, I read this a while back. So this was one of the first books I read by Hiromi Kawakami, and I think she's wonderful. And I've read a lot of what she's done, and I love all of it. This is Nano Thrift Shop. This is my favorite Hiromi Kawakami book. She's really famous for Strange Weather in Tokyo, but actually she's getting now famous for this other new one that she's brought out, which I haven't read yet. Have I got access to the... Yeah, I've got 2 Hiromi Kawakamis there. I've got The Third Love and Under the Eye of the Big Bird up there, which are her 2 most recent ones. And I recently bought Dragon Palace as well. Is that what this is? Yeah, Dragon Palace as well. I bought that recently. But Nakano Thrift Shop, I love it. I absolutely love that book. And that came out in 2005 in Japan, and then the English translation came out in 2016. And it's just a lovely story about a shop. I worked in shops for 15 years, so it really took me back. And the relationships in the shop, and the relationships with the customers as well as the staff, and the main character kind of learning to grow up, and her kind of adventures with all that. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Love it. So I would recommend that as well. Number 5 is kind of related to this month, because again, it was a little bit more of a reason why I wanted to do it this month, because it's a Steinbeck book, and we're looking at Steinbeck this month. And it's my favourite Steinbeck book, Canary Row, set in the Sardine Canaries. And it came out in 1945. And it's about, basically about this small town, and Mac and his mates are these like unemployed young drifters, if you like, and they want to, as a surprise for his birthday, they want to hold a party for Doc, who's this local guy that everyone loves, and it all goes wrong. And it's just a beautiful book. It's brilliant. The way it's written is lovely, and it's just, yeah, I've read a number of Steinbeck books, and that's my favourite so far. I haven't read the 2 big ones, but that's my favourite out of the 6 I think I've read. Brilliant book, and that's as I said, from 1945. My 4th one is The Colour Purple by Alice Walker. The Colour Purple from 1982, and it's a beautifully told story about something that's very important. It's very traumatic. It's a very powerful read. It's very uncomfortable in places to read. It's very difficult to read in places, and it really gives you an insight into the, so if you like, the negative and significant African American past. It's just such a beautiful book, and it blew me away the way it was written as well. So it's written in first person, and the relationships between Celie, the main character, and her sister, and the really horrible relationships with her husband and her father, which include a lot of abuse. those things are explored in a way that Celia grows through the book, and it's just such a beautifully told story where you've got these really harrowing experiences, but you've got this story arc with how Celia changes through the story. It's such a brilliant book, but the way it's written is so emotive, and you're so moved by it. So that's a very easy number 4 for me. Colour Purple from 1982. Number 3 is one that I read over last December with Kim from Middle of the Book March, and that's The Invisible Man by Ralph Ellison from 1952. So again, this took me by surprise. So it's a big chunker of a book. It's a huge comment on the African American experience and being a black man, and again, it's about identity, but it's quite episodic, and all these people that he meets kind of reinforce the idea that he's an invisible man, but it's done so well. And again, he goes through this journey and this realization through the book, and it's just wonderful. Again, it's brilliantly written and very vivid and poetic at times, and always really compelling. My second one, I'm including this in the list of non-genre books, but I think that sometimes it gets called a horror book, but I don't think it is. So this could be contentious, and if you want to write in a comment what you do in including that. I understand why people might say it's got a gothic flavor, but I don't think there's no supernatural in it. I don't think it's a book that you could call a horror book. It's by Shirley Jackson, and it's called We Have Always Lived in the Castle. So this is the one that's probably the most recently read. Yeah, this is the one that, well, actually no, because of Arasia, but it was read very recently, but it blew me away. I love it so much. Fantastic. I couldn't have read it fast enough. I couldn't have enjoyed it more. 1962 it came out, and Shirley Jackson is a great writer. I've read quite a few of her things, and this was by far the best thing I think I've read by her, and I loved it. I loved the characterization, not only of the main characters, but also of the town itself. And the story is so unpredictable, and you really get this eerie feeling through the whole thing. It's just brilliant. So We Have Always Lived in the Castle could be contentious inclusion because of the theme of the video, but that's my number 2. And number 1, I just think this book is one of those stories that you just think an absolute genius wrote this. It's from 1925, and it's Franz Kafka's The Trial. I really love this. I want to read it again because I want to do a video on it for the Banned Books project, but it's obviously infamous for the way that it's so expertly creates this farcical political system that is honing on it as one man who doesn't understand why he's on trial. The trial process is insane. It makes no sense. And there's that sort of surreal aspect to the government processes in this society is depicted in the trial. It's amazing. And yeah, I just think, and I've read quite a number of other things by Kafka, and the trial's definitely my favorite. But there's so much to it, and there's so many ways that it comments on our crazy society, and ultimately it's almost like a plea to try and sort that kind of shit out. Really, I think possibly. I mean, Kafka's a complex man, so you can't really assume it's that. But yeah, I absolutely love that story, The Trial from 1925. So there we are. It's my 10 non-genre novels or novellas in a couple of cases that I absolutely love. Let me know what you think of those choices. There are some others that I could have included, and some that I'm going to be reading soon. I think are probably as good. That I could maybe do another video in a year's time or something. But yeah, that's my 10. Please comment below on those choices. Thank you so much for watching. Stay curious, everybody.
Paint me a picture like to